So when I talk about the black box testing is what? Black box testing is just the opposite or fulfilling the parts which are uncovered in the white box testing. That means, first of all, why the name is given as black box testing? Because here, just see this particular image, black box means I am not able to view the internal structure or the code of this particular application. I can only input data and I can only check the data for the output, whether I am getting the right output for the input or not. This is all what I am going to check in the black box testing. So kind of I can say black box testing is the functional testing, because here I am going to check the functionality. I am going to focus on the requirements of the customer or the end user. So this particular is called as functional testing or opaque testing. Functional testing or opaque testing. That was structural testing. White box testing is called as structural testing or clear box or glass box. Opaque means which is not transparent, right? So that is why these particular names are given for the black box testing, where I am not going to test the code. I am only going to check the functionality, whether I am getting the right output for a particular input or not, right? Whether my system is working in the right direction or not, whether I am getting the right functionalities or not. So in black box testing, we just focus on the inputs and outputs of the software system without bothering about internal knowledge of the software program. I'm not at all concerned about the code. Now, there are different types of black box testing, which are like boundary value analysis. This is also called as BVA, boundary value analysis. Then we have equivalence partitioning. It is also known as equivalence class partitioning or the robust testing, right? So these are different black box testings. Let's understand one by one. What is boundary value analysis first of all? See, the concept is, I have taken the example itself. In this, boundary conditions are checked. That means whatever the input values are to be given, we are not only going to give the correct inputs, we are going to check the output at the different input values which should be wrong, which are invalid also, because maximum error lies at the boundaries. How? Let's see the example. We have two input variables, x and y. The input variable x with a range from 1 to 100. Let's say we have the input and the input is the range from 1 to 100. So the boundary values for 100 will be what? They will be 1, that is the starting value, 2, just next the starting value, 100, that is again the last value, boundaries, and 1 less than 100, that is 99. So x is going to fall between A and B, and x is going to fall between C and D. So x is bounded by interval A and B, and y is bounded by interval C and D. So for this condition, what we have if x is bounded by A and B, so that means I'm going to check for the input conditions A plus 1, B minus 1, and B. And for this C and D, I am going to check for C plus 1, B minus 1, D. One more example I can take. Example, if I have to input a character, I have given, right, I have to input and I can only input the characters from 7 to 10. Only 7 to 10 characters I can enter. So 7 to 10 is the, what is the interval? And 7 and 10 is the boundary values. 7, I will test the condition for 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. So that will give us more test cases to find out the errors, because we have to uncover maximum errors. So that is why it is called as boundary value analysis. Next is called as robust testing. Now, robust testing is just an extension of boundary value analysis. What I am going to do here is, I am going to check for more boundary values. Like, As earlier, I was checking for A plus 1, B minus 1 and B. Here I am going to check also for A minus 1 and B plus 1. Example, it was from 1 to 100. 1 to 100. So I was checking for the input conditions 1, 2, 99 and 100. But in robust testing, I am also going to check for 0 and for 101. That means exceeding the boundary values, less than 1 and greater than 100 also. So again, that will maximize the probability of uncovering the errors, right? This is called as robust testing. That means we are testing in a more extended form. Third part is called as equivalence partitioning. Now, what is this equivalence partitioning? Here, equivalence partitioning is also called as equivalence class partitioning. It can be applied at any level of testing, and it is a very good technique for finding out the errors. It works at the dividing. It works on the idea of dividing or partitioning. The partitioning means the dividing of test condition into groups or sets that can be considered the same, right? Equivalence partitioning is a testing we are going to work as equivalence partitioning as a testing technique where input value set into classes for testing. We are going to see the input values which are valid class, input values which are invalid class. So let's see how it goes. Let's say we have for a program that is supported to accept any number between 1 and 99, there are at least 4 equivalence classes for input size. Now I'm going to divide it into 4 partitions. How I am going to divide in 4 partitions? This is an interesting point. See here, any number between 1 and 100 is a valid because I can define it. Sorry, this should be 99. Any number that is between 1 to 99, 1 and 99 is a valid input. This is one class. Second class will be any number less than 1. Now see, 1 to 99, 1 and 99. I am going to check. I'm also going to check for the invalid inputs, whether it is going to, respond it in a right way or not, my system. So what it is going to be all the values which is less than 1. That means 0 and all the negative values. This is an invalid class. Next one, any number greater than 99. Again, this is an invalid class. The numbers which are greater than 99. Again, this is an invalid class. I'm going to check for all the input conditions. If it is not a number, it should be accepted. And third invalid point is if I'm giving a input which is not a number, then how it should be reacting or responding, how the system should respond. So again, these are what? These are dividing or partitioning the input value into invalid classes and valid classes and testing it rigorously. This is what equivalence partitioning is. Now let's see what is the difference between the white box testing and the black box testing. Black box testing is what? It is the testing which is not working for the internal structure of the code, not working without knowing this internal structure. While white box testing is done by the tester who knows the internal structure, because no one can, find out the errors in the code if he is not able to understand the code. Next point, this type of testing is carried out by testers, black box testing. Because it is related to code, so software developers are more keen to do the testing. Next one, implementation knowledge is not required to carry out the black box, while implementation knowledge is required for white box testing. Next one, programming knowledge is not required, again for black box, but here also white box testing, programming knowledge is required. Testing is applicable on higher levels like system and acceptance, because here we are going to check the functionalities. In white box testing, it is done more on unit testing and integration testing. That is at the low levels of testing. Black box testing means functional testing or external testing. It is also called as external testing. White box is called as structural or interior. Black box testing is primarily concentrated on functionality of the system, while the white box testing is focusing on code structure, branches, conditions, and loops. What is the main aim of black box testing? To check the functionality of the system, whether it is performing properly or not. And for the white box testing, we are going to check how the system is performing. Black box testing, we need to have requirement specification document details, because we are going to work on the requirements. Those are related to the functionality, right? For white box testing, we need detailed design document. For functional testing, behavioral testing, closed box testing is carried out. Black box testing, so there is no required of the programming knowledge. So you can see these are different types of testing we have done in the white box testing, that is structural, logic, path testing, loop testing, code coverage. So that is why programming knowledge is required and compulsory for this. So that's all for this one. Thank you very much.